Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and today I am delighted to be joined by Acsom Rabbani and Tommy Sheridan, where we will be talking to Scottish actor Simon WEIR. This is A Celtic State of Mind. Simon WEIR, welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. How many appearances have you had on this show?
Too many.
You're a veteran.
I'm a veteran, yeah. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. Right at the beginning, I remember in Stirling, and then it's just a blizzard of regret and pain ever since then. So yeah, a few times though. Yeah, we had the walk around Paradise as well.
We did recently. We done the Wander, yes, and we're back here at Blackfriars in Glasgow, and we've got loads and loads to talk about. Let's start off with where we are right now. How happy are you with the pre-season?
Pre-season's been great, really, really great. I mean, it's been one of those ones. I don't want to get sort of mystical and romantic about it, but it's got that 60, 66, 67 successful tour of New York and, you know, American tour, builds a great esprit de corps. What can you go in and do? And I think it's a great way to start the season. Comparison to what's going on across the water, yes. I think I'd rather be very much where we are just now, but you can never tell. Again, with to be perfectly realistic, with pre-season, it kind of means nothing till kick-off.
You're right. But what Simon says, Tommy, I'll throw this one over to you. It's a concern of a lot of Celtic fans that we do kind of temper our own progress at times if our main rivals are in a shambolic state, which they currently are.
I think we've got to concentrate in our own house. Mm-hmm. I think we always love reading that they're in a mess. We love it because they deserve to be in a mess, because that's the type of club that they are. It was built on hatred and bigotry, and therefore we love it when they're in a mess. However, from our point of view, we've got to say to ourselves, are we going to be stronger this season than last? Mm-hmm. And right now, there's a question mark, because, you know, Bernardo looks to be over the line. Yeah. Ida, we think, is going to go over the line. Left back, the boy Bieno at Wolves, we're getting told, Spanish under-21 player. Wolves apparently insisting that if he does come on loan, he has to play regularly. Yeah. I've not seen the guy, but by all accounts, everybody's dead excited about him. That needs to be done. I think we're all over the moon with the Casper Smith.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. What a signing.
Great signing.
What a signing.
And then you look at Kuhn on the, he never played in the second game because of the injury. But the game he did play,
electric.
He looked brilliant against City. And Kyogo looks sharp as attack. You've still got Johnson to come in. He's an extended rest because of Canada's involvement in the American Cup. So all the factors seem to be falling into place. A lot of the players who, quite frankly, were projects and we were disappointed, seemed to be getting either shown the door or getting ready for loan deals. But some fans, Paul John, are still saying, where are they? Where are the signings?
Where's the big signing? Yeah.
I definitely believe that we'll have a left back, a winger, and Ida will be in before the end of August. I don't think by the start of the season on Sunday, but I cannot see them letting Brendan down again. I just can't see it. Because Brendan walked away the last time because he was let down. Mm-hmm. I think one of the guarantees he was given coming back was, we're not going to let you down again. Time. Yeah. So, personally, if they do it twice, I think he'll walk. I think he's that type of guy. I think he is looking now, I've done everything domestically, I want to make my mark in Europe. Yeah. And I can't make my mark in Europe without that bit of extra quality.
I don't disagree with you, Tommy, that by the end of August, I think we will be stronger than we ended last season. Is the frustration not that why are we not ready for the first game of the season with a stronger squad? You know, we've had two months since the cup final. We knew we needed a left back. We knew we needed a centre back. We've no done it. Now, I like I say, I don't think Brendan will put up with it if we don't. But I think the frustration where fans come in, there's so much to be excited about. Like you say, the pre-season's really good. A lot of the players are coming into form. But we should have been ready for that first game of the season. We should be ready for the first Champions League game where it's not guys just coming in. They should have been bedded in already. Hopefully, having 3 or 4 games with their teammates. I think we'll be stronger, and I think there's a lot to be positive about. I think the frustration just with myself and other fans is, why does it take us so long? That's.
I could get a custard pie in my face later on, right? Because I'm going to ask for a bit of slack to get cut, and I wouldn't normally do that. but our first Champions League game isn't going to be till September.
Yeah,
so
where's that?
So we're not yet at the stage where we need the guys in and ready. And I would also say that having the Euros this summer always complicates matters.
It's always going to delay it.
It's a food chain, isn't it, Simon?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the teams at the top sign X, Y, and Z, which then gives the space for somebody who's A, B, and C. Then you've got E, F, and G, and it all goes down. We're no at that table.
It's the Premiership teams
We're
that
down
take
here.
it. Yeah, exactly.
And I just personally think Brendan he keeps telling us, we have identified our sources. They know who they're after. It's not as if it's a lottery. They know who they're going for. And I'm going to stick my neck out and say, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it every Monday, Asim, and it is frustrating, Tommy, but you're right. People were saying when we were using the Euros as an example, they were thinking, well, we're not going to sign anybody from the Euros, but that's not what happens. As you say, the business has to start from the top,
absolutely.
and then there's the knock-on effect, and we might get the players who are 3 or 4 tiers down in that system.
Where you are in the food chain is absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know, you're not first choice. You're not first stabs. Celtic may be a huge name still, but ultimately the level we're playing at as well, you're going to get third or fourth choice. You're going to get who do we not need in our first team? Who can we put out on loan? You're going to get good Man City guys. They've still got a very good scouting system. My only concern is the old Celtic worry about the fans obviously wanting a big marquee signing, and the club itself actually being quite happy with what they've got, because we could quite easily win the league with what we've got just now.
Simon, I think the Deloitte de Touche did a wee report 3 years ago, I think it was, and they analysed all the leagues, wages, structures, and what was the most attractive league to play in the UK, and we were equivalent to League One in England.
Yeah.
League One. So Championship, we were nowhere near it
Yeah.
in terms of wages. Nowhere near it. We were equivalent to League One, and League One was slightly better than us. Their average wage was 100,000 a year, and that made them better than the Premier League in Scotland. So you're absolutely right. But do you know what? I think with the signing of Kasper Schmeichel, he was a Euro player.
Yeah.
He's in,
No,
he's in.
absolutely.
That
It's a huge marquee name.
And I've got to say to you, I don't know about you, I think signing either will be like a marquee signing.
Yeah. Because
I mean, I know
if it goes ahead,
I'm absolutely confident it's going ahead. There's no way he's
pushing it now.
risking the discipline and all that. It's going ahead. It's going ahead.
I just wonder if someone will come in and lift them away from us. You know what I mean? That's the only concern.
You were talking, Simon, about
Could have jinxed
second choice, second choices, and me, you, and Tommy know all about being second. Because
Third or fourth.
we've spent a lot of time on a bench.
We have spent a lot of time, but not Tommy. But we spent a lot of time on the bench watching Tommy.
Normally, if Tommy came off for 20 minutes,
Tommy could play.
I know.
That's the difference.
Remember that goal for about 35
Oh,
minutes, Tommy?
screamer!
Well, I don't want to mention it again.
Yeah, it was. Did you get it from the left? Was it a top corner?
Listen.
Can we talk about it again, please?
I was very clever, guys. I was very clever because I made sure I befriended the manager.
There was that as well.
So I on the way, I picked up the manager.
Yeah.
I drove the manager in the game. Do you think I wasn't in his ear? Do you know? Listen,
Do you know the hardest part of it? The hardest part was your warm up. The Tommy Shepard
it became legendary.
Even the pros were going, oh no, I've got a wee.
Yep.
Exhausting.
For everybody at home, Simon Weir is an actor, and we'll talk about your career, but you also played for Frank McGarvey's Celtic All Boys team.
We did,
We played a lot of games together. And Frank's fitness test for me is he would come up and he would have a wee feel about my gut and have a look at my cheeks and go, wait on, you're on the bench. And I spent a lot of time on the bench.
Exactly.
But it was my training regime, Tommy. Every 3 months you'd have a game of football.
Yeah.
But Frank, he was legendary.
It was
Simon,
wonderful, but
wasn't
he's strangely convinced that I was a good player. He
Yep.
kept saying it with Justin with all these Celtic legends and everything, and I've badly performed in like 4 games already. He knows what position he put me in. I wasn't a good player since I've been 15 years old. I'm nearly 50, and he kept saying, well, at half time we go, what's wrong with you? You're a good player. And I'm going, Tom Boyd's going, good.
Tom Boyd, Matt Wilson, Rudy Vata.
Oh, Rudy
Weir.
Vata. Rudy Vata as well. Rudy Vata is the one person who could spot a bad player immediately and give you, I remember the harshest time. Why you
As a
kick
young
ball? Why you kick ball like girl? You man!
Like a girl.
You man, you kick ball like girl. I went, shut up, Rudy. This is supposed to be fun. This is what the crowd are loving it, really. Oh, but it was that will to win that the pros had was fab, wasn't it?
Brilliant.
It was just such a great thing to be involved in, and Frank was just a brilliant manager for us to have.
He's so funny without trying to be.
Terribly funny.
And I was sitting in the dressing room at half time once, and the wee goalie had paid to play. So I don't know how much he had paid, but he paid to play.
He was going to be busy that day.
He was taking his gloves off at half time. He goes, I need to come off. I just can't handle Rudy. Rudy could not handle Rudy Vata because he didn't care if you had 100 cats for Scotland or if you paid 100 quid to play. It'd go through you. Absolutely.
Was he not quite nice to you in one game though? You come off a bit bemused at half time because he'd been nice to you.
That's right. Aye, maybe he'd say that good ball.
I'm intrigued though
because he was still built like that, wasn't he?
Fit.
Rudy, I got on really well with Rudy.
Yeah, because you could kick a ball.
I had the same type of similar attitude to it. I wanted to win. I didn't.
Absolutely.
It was not a charity game.
No.
I wanted to win.
And you realise that very quickly when you actually come out and you go, oh, everyone's taking it really seriously. I like to just get the strip on and stand and look and get the photograph. But yeah, there's a real...
And it gives you an opportunity. Remember I snapped Alex Ray? Remember? Took him right out, I seen. And there's been a wee bit of needle. There's been a few of the guys falling out.
Well, you were saying it earlier on as well, that I think we'd won the first...
We won our first 4 games in this Celtic Rangers charity games.
Yeah.
And it became a big issue. So much so that the next game, Derek Johnston obviously used a bit of influence. And before you know it, Marvin Andrews appears.
Yeah.
Right? Now, Marvin's never been in any of the games. Marvin's still fit as hell, built like a brick house.
Yeah, he knocked me out.
And he's... and then Alec Ray hadn't been there. Both pulled in.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one
play,
day,
really.
The fact, it may have been the Oakfield game you're talking about. Alec Ray had just played the day before at Ibrox for the Masters Steven Gerrard game, and he got man of the match.
Yeah.
He's playing in the centre midfield.
Yeah.
Charlie Miller's playing alongside him.
up?
Derek Ferguson's playing alongside him.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, where are you, man? What's going on here? We've got now. I love Brian McClure to bits. Brian's a fantastic player in his day, but Brian, enjoys life. And he wasn't he Alec Ray's level of fitness.
You know what I find amazing is very quickly, right? The kind of like the idolism disappears.
Yeah.
So you start screaming at people like, "Give you a gat," because a gat's not covering you. So you start screaming at them.
Do you remember the day Gat played as well? Yeah,
That's right.
Wow. And then worryingly was in the treatment table for about half an hour before the game. I thought, this doesn't look like he's going to be running very fast.
2 masseurs, one on each
Exactly,
leg.
one on each leg. I was like,
I thought that day would have been better bringing on Jim Craig.
Because he was in the
That's right, Jim.
They're getting their life in him. I mean, amazing. I loved it. He's a lovely man.
Yeah.
But I'm saying to myself, where's the Swedes?
It was gone.
He used to be BB.
It was like Albert's hammer had gone. It was the same thing, wasn't it? Yeah. But it was just great. It was just good to win it pitch for these guys as well. But you realise, it's not enough, is it? It's not enough unless you actually are competing. And at the last few games, it kind of we got pumped.
We did. And the thing with Rudy is, I love him to bits, but he is absolutely ruthless.
Oh, absolutely. But these guys get such a will to win.
Yeah.
Well, I've been itching for a call-up for one of these games, but after hearing about Rudy and talking about...
No, we must get it going again because...
I'm going to say this to you, Simon. I'm not saying we won't be able to get it going again, but I'm going to say this to you. Our last game would have been in 19 because COVID. We'd have bunkered the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And see, when you think about it, that's 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Tried to fight and it's never been seen again.
A lot of us were struggling then.
Yeah.
5 years on, I just wonder, even some of the guys you've mentioned, we played in the recent game at the Rock.
Yes.
And you thought to yourself, some of the boys come out, you're saying, they'll be great.
I know.
I don't want to say them. I don't want to say them in case they're watching.
I'm going to ask one more question, guys, right? And I want one answer from you. It's from the Celtic side, because Tommy mentioned Charlie Miller. Charlie Miller was the best, by a distance, footballer on display, right? But from a Celtic perspective, Tommy, who was the best player you played alongside in these games?
Played alongside. Dead difficult to say that. It really is, because Bobby Petta still has got a beautiful left foot.
Simon Donnelly's wonderful.
But Rudy's still got the dig.
Yeah.
Simon had the guile.
Yeah.
Not very many had the legs. Mark Wilson, Mark was dead fit when he played.
Yeah, Mark Willow was really good, wasn't he?
So dead hard to say.
Did you play with Donati?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did.
We did play with Donati.
Yeah, played in the game.
Massimo, he played in that game.
He did. Right. But he's the one that's suffering most in the Tommy Sheridan warm up. But he came looking for a club.
Yeah.
He'd been badly advised. He thought it was a trial game. Did they not score? He was fit.
His agent was like,
"What is exactly."
Well, Big Mimo was there. I'm good pals with Big Mimo.
Right.
And he brought Massimo along.
Yeah.
And he said that after the warm up, he couldn't play for anybody.
It was like the Marines. Absolutely shattered, but then I was like, oh,
See, I used to take the prison team, Simon. So when you've trained the Castle Huntley team,
right,
then you've got you need to keep these guys.
I thought it was a thing from the juniors. This was the hardest part of the day. Honestly, Tommy was like, I'm gonna warm the goalie up.
Tommy doesn't want to give one name. Could you give? I've got one in mind that's going to surprise you. Going to surprise you.
For me, I think. I mean, honestly, I know. Like when you look at the Didier Gat and things as well, and the pace and gone, everything. I still went. I've just pinged the ball out to Didier Gat. There was still that moment, and I know Brian. I was like, because Brian goes by the shop and everything now as well. And every time I look at him, I go, it's Brian McClure. And all through that game, I kept going, Brian McClure, because he kept coming further back and further back and further back. And eventually I just went, I can miss. It's empty or something. And he said to me, that's not the Celtic way. And I looked at this beard and went, what, and you're telling me what the Celtic way is just now? You can run. So, but to play with him was quite something. I think that was quite something. Yes. Like my brother was playing five-a-sides the other night, and he sent me a picture afterwards and went, look who turned up. And it's Frank McAvenny.
Really?
You know what I mean? So for us, for that generation, for us, for any football fan, if one of your heroes turns up, regardless of what gargantuan size they are or whatever as well, you're a wee boy again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's it. So
because you probably wrote to Brian McClure. You probably wrote to him.
Yeah, I probably did. They probably ignored me, though. Because what I would have done was I would have accessed Roy Aitken to get to Brian McClure. But I wrote to Mo Johnston as well. I got nothing from him.
Did you not?
Until they signed for Rangers. And then I went down to Jordan Hill when they were training. I shouldn't say this, but I went down to Jordan Hill where they were training. They used to change Jordan Hill School. And I went down there and I took the ball off Souness and kicked about. And he ran over, half me, and then booted my pal in the knee and cut his knee right on. Just before the George McCluskey game, I went.
Doesn't surprise me.
That was the first day of training.
Well, does not surprise me.
And then Mo Johnston sings, and I go, it's Mo Johnston. Mental.
It is. He's getting too many mentions on this show, though.
Yeah, but it's weird, though, because in those days, again, football teams had no training grounds. Yeah. So they trained at like a college ground, and anyone could go up and hurl abuse or whatever as well, yeah. Celtic used to run around Strathclyde Park and things. So, yeah.
It's insane, right? This is maybe controversial. You know who I think the best Celtic player was? And I loved playing on the same park as Boydie and Brian McClure, the whole lot of them. It's a dream. It's surreal. I just laugh at these things. It's just bizarre. The best player I felt was Craig Beattie.
Well, Beats was great, wasn't he?
He was
he was
honestly,
great.
I'm just talking talent.
He was, and he's built like a boxer as well.
Does he? I think he does the training.
Yeah. He came up to me halfway through, and I was having a go at Marvin. I weirdly got moved onto the wing, and I set up a goal for. Anyway, I had one bit where I did well, so I got put out into the wing. And I kept going for Marvin. Eventually, Beats come up behind me and went, he's going to hurt you. Don't go near him. He's going to hurt you. Free kick. Marvin takes it, knocked me completely spark out. Really? Remember that? I got completely knocked out.
I don't know if I was playing in that.
Yeah. I got completely knocked out.
So Beattie, right? Skillful, ball stuck to his foot. The ball stuck to his chest, samurai style. I know that there's a lot of Celtic fans out there who don't like him, but a wee story is...
he was lovely, man.
I asked him to get involved. Lovely guy, asked him to get involved in the Rock game. He phones me. He says, Paul, I don't think it will be a popular choice if I play. But he was lovely about it, right? And I know people talk about maybe being brought up a Rangers fan, scoring for Hearts and getting
goal. Yeah, exactly.
I get it. But these games were for charity.
Yeah.
And after every game... the local food banks, because it was like we would play in different areas.
That's right.
The local food banks got a donation, so all these guys would come along and play, and it was great memories. But it would be great to do it again,
wouldn't it? Yeah, wouldn't it?
It would be great. It takes a lot of organisation.
Yeah. And we don't have
Bernie. We Bernie Valley, who's a mutual friend, who does a great job with these. He has talked about it. We have talked about trying to get him back up and going again. But as I said earlier, you think our memories are all quite fresh, but it was 5 years ago. Right? And when you think about that, God, mate, how's that? And it's because the COVID years, 2 or 3 years, bang, you're just gone. But I'm seeing Bernie on Friday night, so I'll speak to Bernie.
That'd be
So
great.
one player,
Yeah.
player agreeing to play. Paddy McCourt.
Yeah.
Paddy will play.
Okay.
Brilliant.
And we've got Acsom. What's your
Brilliant.
position, Acsom?
Centre mid, I was telling Tommy.
Excellent.
Right.
We need to bring the new generation through.
We do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Joe Ledger
Us
looks as though
journeymen
he
can
can
still
still play.
play.
Can he? Yep.
Yeah.
Aye. In the game we played at the Rock, we had a few players lined up that couldn't make it for unforeseen circumstances, and one of them was Charlie Mulgrew.
Right.
So, and we also got an agreement for Scott Brown. But
I
then
remember this.
the
Yeah,
game
yeah,
clashed.
yeah, of course.
Clashed with a testimonial. So I think we could do it again and bring some new blood in.
I think it needs it. Yeah, I think it'd be great. Yeah, see what he says.
We'll do it. We'll pursue it.
Let's pursue it.
And
Yeah.
it's for good causes.
Absolutely.
Simon, people may know your face. You've got a well-kent face around Scottish television.
Crime watch.
Well,
Usually got a number underneath.
absolutely. But,
No, that's
you know,
me saying.
Is that for a good time?
I'm the crime watch. You're the actor.
For a good time, don't call this number.
brilliant. You know that the first time I saw you, and I know that your career started long before this, first time I saw you was the Granton Star College.
Yeah, it was great.
Talk to me about your relationship with Irvine Welsh.
The Grand Star Cause was the precursor to the Acid House. So it was a Channel 4 film. We made it as a TV film, and it was supposed to be almost like a tester, I think. And the castings went out, and a pal of mine, I didn't get seen for it. I was doing Take the High Road at the time, and a pal of mine went in to see them. And he said, "It's a great part in this for you. You should go and Tambo, you should go for it, you know." It's a Team Shagger. I went, "Oh, fucking listen, it was great." And I went and I somehow got myself into the audition. You couldn't do these things nowadays. But I somehow got into the audition, got seen, and I think I had to shag a chair or something, do one of the scenes. And then that was the audition, and then got called back and then got the part. So it was great. And then got onto the set, and the first day on set was like 15 hours of football. It was great. Either loved it. It was great. So we shot it in like your house, you know, where Trainspotting's actually sort of set. And it was wild, man. Wild shoots. And after 15 hours of football, we'll do the changing room scenes. And originally, I come out the showers bollock naked and moan that the showers aren't working. And then we kick the door open and the parkie's in there. And the parkie, to save a bit of time and everything as well, has actually turned the hot water off. So we all get cold showers. And he's in there having the porno mag. Can I say these things on this? Of course. I'm done now anyway. So he's in with the porno mag. And I kick the door and I go, "The showers aren't working, eh?" And he's like, "Whoa." So he's naked, I'm naked. And we do those, and the whole thing got cut. So we were sort of pals from that first day on. Anyway,
How could you not be, Simon, after that?
Yeah, exactly. It was great. It was a great bonding thing. After 15 hours of football, you're not at your most impressive. So maybe quite glad it was chopped. But in so many ways. But so that was the first day we actually met. And then I would sort of see Irvine. The film came out, did quite well, and then they thought they'll make the other two. So they made a Soft Touch and the Acid House. So they made this trilogy of three films. Sort of unconnected stories or interconnected stories, but completely separate. It did really well. But then it went to the House of Lords because of the blasphemy laws. Because as God is played by Maurice Reeve, swearing alcoholic, and vengeful God changing this guy from the football team into a fly, who then comes back and finds out that I am shagging his girlfriend, and his best mate is taking his place in the team, etc. And so it starts to happen to the captain as well. Maybe I'm next. So it's great, but then he flies back to his parents' house, and his parents want him out because they're entering a funny, some may say, a dangerous stage in their life. And they've got a video camera, and they're just playing with a new toy. So as you can imagine, the fly comes in, Bob now changes into the fly, comes in to the bedroom and sees, I'll let the viewers decide what they see. Horrendous. So this film did really well, but again, it's blasphemy and etc. So it was also the record amount of F's and C's in a film. So that kind of changed television at the time as well. Made the other two films, and then I've always kind of kept in touch with everyone. We used to pitch up. I lived in Brixton for a while, and he'd be doing DJing sets and things as well. We'd go and see him. When the film got launched, we went to like London film festivals again, Brixton Ritzy and all that, and then got back in touch with each other. That's when social media is a great thing as well.
Yeah.
Before that, hadn't seen him for about 5 or 6 years, maybe longer even. And then he invited us to the Filth premiere, and I went to that. And then soon afterwards, it was back into this Trainspotting 2 time. So, but we have regular meals. There was a wee gang of us go out, and we've got the Hellfire Club.
And was it through Irvine that you got the kind of in touch with the Trainspotting role as well then?
It was. My agent at the time was putting us through as well, but everyone in Scotland obviously wanted to get it. And when you see the film, it's not really a lot of parts in it. It's more about these guys coming together again. Everyone wants to see Spud and Sick Boy and Begbie and what happens with Rents. They want to get them all back together again. So there's not a lot in it. And I auditioned for a couple of parts in it, and one of them was like Punter 2 or something. Okay. And it was all right, but it was great to get an audition. So Irvine, with a sort of meal, we're out one time, and Irvine spoke to someone, and anyway, a sort of ring of emails. Eventually got the audition, went in, and the first one was with the casting director, and it was just, she said, terrify me, terrified her. And they said it was good. And I knew, in the old days, auditions in the room, you could tell if it had gone well. Now they're all self-taped, so in auditions like this now, you don't get any feedback, you don't get any... So it's changed a lot. In the room, you could do that, and they go, actually, this guy doesn't know as much, or there's not as much, or the jeopardy's higher, or whatever. So you would get a bit of direction. So I got recalled for one, and I remember standing with Brian McCarty, who's sadly just passed away, actually. And the two of us were standing outside waiting for Danny Boyle, and Danny Boyle came out of the room, and he went, Simon, be with you in a minute, loved your tape. And I remember Brian turned to me and went, he likes you, doesn't he? We ended a great audition. Danny was great. He went, look, just wanted to go through it again. He said, you sent a terrifying tape in. Let's just go for it. I'll do the thing. I went, it's one of those moments you go, man, it's Danny Boyle. And it's a bit like Rudy Vata shouting at you. You go, Rudy Vata. It's Brian McClare. This is just those. It's lovely. You know, you're not offended by it. You're not overawed by it. You're just, you're a footballer. But you're just happy to be there. It was one of those ones, and it went really well. Next thing you know, offer comes through, and you're bollock naked and doing
seems to be a common theme with some of these roles.
Isn't it? Yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
So you love getting your kit off in front of the camera, Simon. I'm not going to ask you to do that today. But one thing I will say, and I love this because I'm a wee bit of a hoarder myself when it comes to memorabilia. Hoarder. Is we were working on a project a few years ago, and I had the pleasure of coming and seeing you in your house, and it was full of all the kind of stuff you'd kept from your movies.
Yeah,
and you had the Grant and Star Cause jersey, didn't you? The
Grant and Star, yeah. I've got lots. I mean, I tend to keep. I mean, as a real magpie, so I tend to keep loads and loads of costumes and stuff. So I've got suits of armour. I've got everything. The stuff in pantomime. I've got everything you can imagine. It's the most ridiculous. I will be found dead under mountains of newspaper. It was one of these hoarding things. And I moved house recently from a house with a garage full of all this into a flat. And it just will not fit. So I've actually got, like a pervert, I've actually got storage units. Growing up,
like
always,
a pervert?
Well, every pervert in the past always had storage units that disappeared.
You need a unit.
Exactly, yeah. So these are the old days of the pornography by the train stations. This is a completely different route than I intended to go down. That was always a weird thing, wasn't it? Porno mags were always at train stations.
Yeah.
You're too young. You're too young to remember this.
You
remember these. Oh, you wouldn't remember this. This was probably my thing.
The 80s. We're talking the 80s.
Yeah, 80s.
Yes.
80s. Late 70s, 80s porno mags. Why was talking porno mags?
I don't know. You took it doing that dirty, sinister road.
Yeah, so there is that kind of hoarding aspect of it, and I've always kind of hung on to things as well. But the acid house was a cracking shirt, and I actually thinking about doing it as a t-shirt. It's just trying to get a purple and green ringer.
Yeah.
Because it's got the Granton on it and the big star of it. Just looked, it was that 90s iconic kind of football thing. And based, even when we did the film, in the beginning credits of it, it's got the Golazzo, the Italian football stuff and all that. So it's actually really, really well done. So, yeah.
You mentioned about the hoarding, something that you mentioned earlier about letters to footballers. How did that come about?
Well, yeah, because I used to write to my brother Robin and I used to get Shoot and Match. So Shoot and Match were the two big football, weekly magazines out as well. Full colour, really, really nice. So you would have everything in the front. So you would get like Tony Adams signing for Arsenal. And there's always a picture with a ball and down like that, and it's all covered in mud, bloody knees and everything as well. Just proper 80s, 90s footballers. That's a good picture. Cut that out. Me and my brother would then write to him. Always been a big Arsenal fan and blah, blah, blah. Any chance we can get, autographs. And then you get an in. And then we would write to him. So we wrote to every player. We had a sort of family pen pal in Roy Aitken, etc., where we would give our opinions on how Celtic were doing, and like this in pre-season. But in those days, you would write to them and not expect a reply. Yeah. But Roy Aitken would write back. As captain of the club, we had a very good training session. I was writing to everyone. I'm pretending you're a Southampton fan and everything as well. So I've got this massive, you were saying you've got a very similar kind of thing.
Yep.
This massive collection of autographs. And then pals were going, and then Gary Lineker signed for Barcelona. Now, I'd been writing to him at Spurs. Goes to Barcelona. I wrote to him Barcelona. Mark Hughes was my favourite player at the time because Mark was big. I was a striker. I played a wee bit at Clydebank at the time, and I saw myself as a Mark Hughes muscle man striker. Great. And he went with him to Barcelona. But Mark Hughes wouldn't write back to you. But Gary Lineker did. And I got like 9 pictures of Gary Lineker. And then I had a team, my next door neighbours had been to the new camp and got one of these big, giant, foldable team sheets. And do you know that Gary Lineker sent it, and Gary Lineker sent it back, and every Zubizarreta, all these players, every single one of the players
Really?
signed it.
That's tremendous.
That's the difference between players, I think, then and now.
Yes.
Now you see them getting off buses and they've got headphones on, and there's a gap between a wee boy wanting an autograph.
Aye.
There's that. I could write to anyone. It got so bad though that I wrote to. I used to write to John Aldridge a lot. Right. He signed. I wrote to him at Oxford, and then he signed to Liverpool. So I started my campaign with him. But like Kenny Leishman was there, so I was getting on. But Phil Neal was still coach. I got all these autographs from Liverpool going back. I set all the European Cup final team groups, and he'd wait, and 3 months later come back with that all signed as well, from players who were obviously doing stuff in the lounges and everything. Kennedy, all these players that had retired. And eventually I wrote one that was the straw that broke the camel's back. After about 3 years, I eventually got this little tiny, I've still got it, tiny little bit of lined paper. Dear Simon, I cannot do this anymore. John Aldridge. I thought I've actually broken someone.
You did.
I've actually broken him. So that kind of stopped, curtailed the. Also, I was about 24 at the time. So I think I've probably grown out of it a bit. But the result is you end up with this huge collection. So I've got this massive. And then I started when I was sort of a young actor. I used to buy like not retrospect. I would get like match worn strips and things as well. So I've got a good collection of sort of football memorabilia and things as well. So that's what I mean about when I die in the storage unit. You know, in my sort of perverse gallery, it will also be surrounded with some really, really good memorabilia.
Totally. I mean, what I love about it, Simon, is you didn't stop there because you decided also to design the Celtic strip.
I did.
And years later, that story appeared in my book.
Yeah.
On the Celtic jersey.
So I called it the European jersey, and I found the original, it's a picture of the original drawing.
Oh, did you think
And the original drawing I had was, so the one I did was do you remember 1985, 86, it was the third strip, they called it European strip. So they made it and they wore it in a game. But it was in all the advertising. I designed that, that's my strip. I designed a cricket shoe and a cricket bat for Duncan Fearnley, I love cricket as well. So I designed this and I sent that to Duncan Fearnley, and I won a competition and got Ian Botham's bats. So I had that, and then we got burgled. And the burglars nicked it, but they dropped the bat in the back. I can't remember some story, but I've still got. Anyway, I've got the bat. So that was the precursor to it, and I thought I'm going to go for the big one here. So I designed a Scotland strip, and I think I sent that to Jock Stein, and got a really nice letter back and signed programmes and wee pennants. So I've got all these pennants as well, the Scotland SFA pennants. You'd have got some from Andy Rochford probably.
Oh yeah.
So I had all this, but it didn't really go any further. And then Flyleigh, this jersey comes out, and I think but the one I actually designed has got yellow instead of the green here, but it's still got a black bit. If you see it I think it's the European strip they call it, if anyone sees it, and it was white, but mine was actually yellow there, but it's the same top.
And you got a letter from...
Yeah, it was one in one game.
One game. You got a letter from Davy Hay saying I've passed this on to Umbro.
Yeah. which was great, but I had something from Umbro as well, but I don't know where it's gone. So I don't know where it's gone. But also I'd drawn a cartoon, the Celtic kids, and the letter said something like, I know you're very artistic. I was like, I'm not artistic, I want a trial. And then I was offered a trial for Celtic as well. And do you know what, instead of going, maybe it's just as well I didn't see who the letter actually came from. But that's a different story altogether. But I got a trial for Rangers and Clydebank. Because I went to attend the Sixes and sat beside Colin Brody's family, who was the reserve goalie for Clydebank, and they were a Premier League team at the time. And just chatting away, and I'd started my own football team when I was 9. I had my own Celtic 11-a-side team when I was 9 years old. So that's just everyone was roped into it, and we stitched on the badges and everything, because at the time you only bought the hoops, and you had to buy the badge separately. And then when Celtic got sponsored, you bought the C.R. Smith separate, and had to get your mum to iron all that on. So anyway, I've always kind of run teams and been involved in football. But I got on really well with this guy's family. He came over and went, I'll get you a wee trial. And I got signed. I played the first game against Queen's Park and got signed by Queen's Park. By Clydebank.
Brilliant.
But football runs in your blood. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know these people, Tommy, who, you know, their uncle played and their granddad played, and it's like, obviously the McStay dynasty is quite a famous one.
Yeah.
But you've got that in your blood as well, Simon, haven't you?
Right back to early days of football. I mean, obviously skipped me. But my dad was a very good player. He played at Glasgow Uni. They won the Scottish Qualifying Cup and then get into the Scottish Cup. He was a doctor, so obviously he was carried on with that. My brother's a really good player as well. But going back, my grandfather played for Celtic. He was Tommy Ryan. So I don't know if he played for the first team, but I know he played they had a game called the Greens v Whites.
Yes.
So Greens v Whites was the trial game where they would pick a whole bunch of trialists from junior football, and they would be the reserves, and they'd play in either green or white, and the home team would play, and then you basically pick your first 11. But the audience apparently had say in it as well.
Is that right?
Yeah, from what I heard, it was, you know, they would kind of suss, the directors would suss the crowd because they got a really good crowd. Because they would say, if we can keep that boy on, or move them around to the second half. So it was a big trial game, and it was a tradition at Celtic for about 40 years. I think it came back from William Whaley, certainly, that started off. So I know that he played in the 30s, and then he played for, I've got his medal from RAF Sullom Voe, when he beat a team called Baidan, but they played also like the Cannabis Cup and all that. They played all these RAF teams with all these weird names, and Baidan was the Gordon Highlanders, wartime football. So I've got his medal from Shetland, the Shetland Times, and I know he played for quite a few sort of junior teams and things as well. Dundalk Hibs is one of them as well. But going back, my great grandfather on my mum's side was at 3rd Lanark in Airdrie, was a Rangers trialist, and then going right back to the early days of football, one of my ancestors was a guy called Claude the Leap Lambie. Called the Leap because he could, like Jimmy McGrory, could hang in the air. He played for Burnley and scored the first ever English First Division hat-trick.
Brilliant.
Claude the Leap Lambie. But then obviously died under...
But you're not blowing your own trumpet enough, Simon. Because you talked there about being a centre forward, you talked about being a centre half.
Yep.
But there are very, very few Scotsmen who went to Wembley and kept a clean sheet.
I didn't want to bring this up, Paul. Didn't want to bring this up. I think I'm the only Scottish goalkeeper still at New Wembley to have kept a clean sheet.
At New Wembley.
At New Wembley.
I love this.
We'll have to check this. But
You spoke to Kevin
in a
McDermott.
Scotland team.
Played for Scotland at the old Wembley.
Yeah.
We're now talking to Tommy and Simon.
They played at the New Wembley.
Wasn't that the most amazing experience
It was a fantastic experience.
in the world?
Fantastic experience. I remember turning up at the airport and there was a big crowd. Peter Mullen was there. He was a manager. We had Paul...
Riley and Coxey from Still Game.
Mark Cox, Paul Riley from Still Game. And beside them was John Smeaton.
That's right. Who was the...
Smeato.
Yeah, Smeato.
Who was
Who foiled the bomb plot.
very sheepish.
Glasgow Airport?
Because he just started writing for the Sun newspaper, and the article that appeared that very week had a story about how I seen Tommy Sheridan at the airport the other day. I swerved, but I still managed to miss him. So it was quite good. Now, the truth is, Smeal didn't write the articles. Right? It was the Sun journalist who wrote these articles, which became very apparent because who was I sitting beside? Was Smeatle. That was my seat. Who was in front of me?
I got Tom Boyd.
Mark Cox and Paul Riley were sitting right in front of me. Conversation develops. I had never met John before. Talking away, and I'm quite a loud guy, as you know, and we get talking, and John starts telling me about his life and how he's recently separated from a girlfriend, and he gave the immortal phrase when he said, "I've got a lot of baggage." Now, I couldn't stop Paul Riley and Mark Cox from laughing, right?
I remember the laughter.
Smeal actually got up to go to the toilet, and they two turned round, and there was tears, literal tears. he didn't just say a lot of baggage, did he?
Oh, Jesus.
And of course, perfectly innocent. I never led him into whatever. He didn't realise what he'd said.
Yeah.
This famous baggage handler has just used the phrase. God, I had a lot of baggage. So the rest of the conversation, I couldn't concentrate.
Yeah.
They two were
They were
literally
hysterical.
However, what a laugh. We get to London, we go to the hotel. I think you all went to Randad.
We had a wild
I'm
night
a
out.
teetotaler, so I didn't do anything.
Till about 6 a.m.
Oh, he's were out for all fucking hours.
It was just because in the bar,
But we get picked up, we get taken to the
bus,
ground.
yeah.
Darren Jackson played,
right,
Joe
yeah.
Miller played,
Joe
Gordon
Miller,
Smith was playing,
Smudger.
Tom Boyd was playing. I was playing alongside Tom Boyd at the back. We had who was it right back? With a good player at right back. I can't remember. But anyway, we had a very good
Gordon
team.
Smith not play at the back?
Gordon Smith played.
He played at the back.
That's right.
Yeah. He played at the back.
I remember.
Because that was my view. Was all your bums in front of us going. This is proper Wembley. Because I thought we arrived and they had like kids games on before.
Thousands.
Yeah. So the it's like that. There's the wee goals. You know, it's like wee quarter pitches. Well, this is going to be great because I'm really hungover. It's going to be a laugh. And they went, so you're in goals. I went, right. So Joe went, no, you're in goals. You bring your gloves. I thought it was all a wind-up because he told me to wear a suit and go to Glasgow Airport. I went, I'm not wearing a suit. Go to Glasgow. I knew it was a wind-up. So I went to Glasgow Airport. Thankfully, I didn't wear a suit. And they're all there. I still don't know why I'm there. I said, where are we going? To bring a passport. I went, what is this? We're playing at Wembley. You're playing for Scotland at Wembley. I went, so who's pulled out? Rod Stewart's pulled out or something. What's this? So I don't even know what position I'm playing. I get into the dressing room and they tell me, you're in goals. Where's your gloves? I've got no gloves. So like Alan Ruff, I played the whole game with no gloves.
Really?
Yeah. So all the pictures I've got no gloves.
And it's important, Paul John, to make a point. This was the opening of the new Wembley. This was the first game.
It was awful.
So it was a schools final to begin with.
First of all, it was all kids games.
20,000?
Yeah, it was 25,000 there, which doesn't sound like a lot, but
Ourselves.
and they hated us.
We're so
Booed us as soon as we come on. But this is like the goal.
And they take the goals away.
And then suddenly it's that. And it's the full pitch. And then we're lining up like that. And
Did you do the national anthem?
But what? Oh, the national anthem. Two stood for national anthems. They were all booing.
And I'm going, I'm in the wrong.
And the problem was Bowling Green.
Yeah.
By the way, we should say about the dressing room.
Yeah.
Talking about luxury hotel.
It was just
You had your total own spot. Oh, that was
you see it now though. You see it in the Euros. That at the time was
training area, a proper
underground
training area. When you go,
it was like Gladiator. When opened the doors and went out. I've never seen anything like
that's a good point. When was this? This was about 2008.
Yeah,
7 or 8. 2007 or 2008.
It must
Did you win?
We won 2-0.
Clean sheet.
1-2-0. Gordon Smith and
Martin
Compson.
hit us.
Sorry, that's rubbish.
No,
Darren Jackson.
Darren Jackson
and Martin Compson.
Did Compson score first?
I think he scored the second one.
I know there's a video of it.
No, you're right. Darren scored with a cracking shot.
Darren won it, I think, yeah.
Yes.
Because I remember I ran out the goals to congratulate Martin and they kicked off. And what's his name? That was on Who Do You Think You Are? Oh, whose line is it anyway? What's his name?
Oh, Angus
Deaton scored. Angus Deaton passed it to Ralph Little and he scored. And I was like, I'm looking at the goal. Somebody's at the side of the pitch. And they thankfully disallowed it. So
remember that happened in the Celtic Rangers game? After Andy Payton scored. The referee just blew the whistle and the only player that was in his position was Pat Bonner. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yes. Early 90s. I was going to ask.
A lot of early 90s are blocked out though.
Yeah, by the way, no surprise.
Yeah.
Who else played for England? So you've got Ralph Little, who used to be a few
celebrities. Colin Salmon played, didn't he? It was going to be Bonds.
But I think Tony Adams played. And the referee was Howard Webb.
Yeah.
Is that right? Did you keep your jersey?
Oh yeah, I've got
several EastEnders, cast.
Right. Yeah. A couple of bands as well were in it as well. Theirs was mostly celebrities.
There was a few football. We had the better team.
Yeah.
And we won. It was fantastic.
Shearer was supposed to play.
Yes, that's right. I remember.
Shearer was supposed to be got injured. I went, oh my God, imagine Shearer up front.
Uh-huh.
But it was amazing. Then we all got the plaques afterwards, and then it was
inspired by Peter Mullen as a manager.
Yeah,
Peter gave a speech. Go out there, break farts.
It was just great. Remember after the two,
When did you celebrate, Simon? Can you remember? Did you get time to go out, or was it flight
No,
back
I think
up the
we
road?
flew back.
Well,
we had
some
the party.
stayed over,
Yeah.
some went back. I went back.
I went
some
back as
stayed
well. The
over.
party was the night before.
Aye.
I need to ask you about Peter Mullen, right? I remember the story that Peter Mullen had a screenplay for a Celtic movie called Paradise.
Really?
And the movie ran from the formation of the club right up to the first kick of the ball against Rangers in 88.
Wow.
So it was just about the
The
formation.
origin story, yeah.
And Daniel Day-Lewis wanted to play Brother Wilfred.
Really?
Right? I thought you might have known about it.
No,
because
no.
The reason I ask is, in the Alps, it seems, Simon, that a lot of Celtic fans are actors, writers, musicians, comedians. And, you know, I keep saying this because people say, but Marty Pello supported Rangers. That's about the only one. What do you think it is about Celtic fans, creativity, in the Alps?
I don't know where it comes from, but certainly most when I was doing a TV show recently, and it was very half and half,
Right.
and it was very, very quick. Celtic and Rangers, very, very quick, and I was quite pleased to put a little gang together, because it does inform the whole thing. When we did Take the High Road, it was the same. There was a Celtic end, the Rangers end,
Right.
crew actors as well. But at the time, Rangers were really successful, so. It was Andy Cameron was the Rangers end and all that as well. So then High Road finishes, Celtic start winning everything. I was like, I missed my chance. But it's always been that way. I think it also it is the club. It's the club of rebellion. It's the club of it's always attracted that sort of a sort of artistic person. I think because of where most of us come from and the struggle that most of them have had as well. It comes from, for me, I loved being a head altar boy in two churches. You know what I mean? I loved that sense of theatre. Didn't particularly like the religion aspect of it. Grew up with it, obviously, but for me it was a sense of theatre for it as well. And I think that the one team you've always got is Celtic. I think you fall in love with the grounds, it's the colour of the strip. It's your first game, it's the smell of tobacco smoke. It's when you first got in, it's that first pie. It's that first time you go up over the stairs and you look down and there's the surface. Yeah. And then you see the Celtic players you've only seen on TV or in shoots or whatever, and suddenly they're in front of you. That's something that is just, it's the best theatre I can ever imagine. When we went out and played those games, even putting the jersey on and going out, even with those players.
I remember you used to play the Champions League.
Yeah, the Champions League of all. As you went out, just going through a tunnel, wearing that, it is like going on stage. It's the only thing I can say is like going on stage. I don't know what it's like for Rangers fans. I know Rangers, there's plenty of Rangers podcasts, there's plenty of Rangers supporting actors and things as well. But the best actors are all Celtic fans.
Definitely.
Remember that time, Simon, we were up at Celtic Park and you spotted Dixie Deans?
Yes, indeed. So Dixie Deans, I remember a story about Dixie Deans and this Jamaica link. Now I'm obsessed with Bob Marley, and I went to Bob Marley's house, 56 Hope Road and all that. I've got t-shirts from it. And you go to the place where he was shot, and you know this favourite tree where he smokes weed and everything. Just it's a great place. And there's Rastas still sleeping outside and everything. It's like a sort of Mecca, you know. And if you chance to go to Jamaica, you've got to go to 56 Hope Road. So I see Dixie Deans, and I remember when he was in Australia, he was playing in Australia, and he met Bob Marley. So I remember the story, and the story, as far as I could remember, was Bob Marley was a Celtic fan. So I thought, this, I'm going to get this in the horse's mouth. So I abandoned you. Dixie, Bob Marley's a Celtic fan. Yes, son. Told me the whole story, apparently. So he goes over, and he says, this guy with sort of matted hair and everything, sort of reeking of weed, come up to him, and he said, I didn't recognise him, I didn't know who he was. He was possibly the most famous musician in the world at the time. Late 70s, I think it was about 1978 or something. And Dixie sort of got on really well. He said, you Dixie Deans, you play for Celtic? He goes, yeah. He goes, I always wanted to go and see Celtic Park. I loved Celtic. And then he rhymed off the Lisbon Lions.
Fantastic.
So it's genuinely, that comes from the horse's mouth.
Facts.
So Bob Marley, I can officially state, was a Celtic fan.
Yeah. And what I love about it is, I remember the book coming out, And even though Dixie stated that story in his
There's
book,
a great photograph of the two of them together. Yeah.
backstage somewhere.
Yeah. No, I think it's there. I don't think it's backstage. I think it's after a game.
Right.
Or
So
in a
he's at the
bar.
game.
They just met each other. Yeah.
It's incredible. But people still don't believe it, even though you verify it with a photograph. And so I was watching the old Bob Marley documentary years later.
Right.
And there's a picture of Bob and Rita Marley with one of their kids, and he's on Bob's shoulder.
Yeah.
He's wearing the hoops.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, that's another item of verification. Fired it up on Twitter. Everybody tells me you're talking rubbish. Bob Marley didn't support Celtic. And with the wonder of Twitter, Rohan Marley, his son, who was on his shoulder, comes on and verifies
Brilliant.
the story. We loved the Celts and all
Brilliant.
this. It was
And he wanted to go to Celtic Park. Yeah, that was the thing. And I think, was it Stephen Marley? I think one of the brothers came to do a gig here and went to Celtic Park and was pictured at Celtic Park as well.
Was it
So I'm
Ziggy?
sure-
Was it Ziggy?
Ziggy or Stephen? I feel it might have been Stephen. I can't remember. But one of them definitely did.
I love it.
There's a photograph, I think the Daily Record did a thing, and they mocked up Bob in the Larson jersey. It's a great picture as well, but yeah.
I mean, Celtic's global reach is really, for me, unrivaled.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to get an opportunity to pull on the hoops, and obviously we've done it for the old boys and all the rest of it. I'm happy to sit on the bench, Tommy. But you've also been in a camp versus Celtic, and I'm talking the real Celtic, and it was for one of the worst defeats in modern times.
Right. This is not a good thing.
Talk
to bring
us
up.
through
This
it.
is not a good thing because my
Talk
brother
us through
didn't
it.
talk to me for months. This caused a big. This is
Should
called,
have been years.
Yeah, this is
Should have been
well.
years.
Do you know what?
Never
After
mind
this, it'll
once.
probably happen again. But this is called the Clyde incident. Right. So I was playing universities football down in London. Played for Birkbeck University, and I broke my foot. I broke my foot. I think. Put on loads of weight. Came up. Joe Miller was a pal, and went out with Joe one night. And he went, "You're a fat. I'll knock that weight off you." His words. I'll knock that weight off you. I'm taking over at Clyde's with Robbo, with Graham Roberts. Come on down. So, this is too good an opportunity. And for a whole season and a half, I went and played every day, trained every day with the team. And it was the time when Joe and Roberts had put together Football Idol. So they invited all these, there's something like 450 players in Scotland alone that are released every single year. And a lot of them are lost to football because where did you go? Yeah. So if you're at Celtic or Rangers Academy and you played all your years there as well and you're so pissed off with it all and with the whole thing, you're actually lost to the game. So at this stage, these guys are kind of on their last chance. A lot of them had been to Celtic, a lot of them had been at Rangers, or Dundee United, or they're all very, very good players. So he put this idea of 2 or 3 days of write in, and I remember at the time your card or your number, and put these teams together, and at the end of it, they signed something like 24 players. So they got down from hundreds, some guys that obviously turned up like me, 50, and I still want to get, still do it, but some of them are really, really good and put together this really good nucleus of a team, and then again chipped that down over that season. That season, I started training with them, it's great, and as Joe said, the fat was lost, and I lost loads of weight, and it was just great. I mean, I'm still crap. I'm playing every day with these wonderful young footballers. They get Celtic in the cup. Oh. This is amazing. So I'm going to watch Celtic and watch other teams that you might get if you beat Celtic. Watch all these other teams.
With my former manager at Baileyson.
Big Dougie, with Dougie Bell. So, and Dougie was wild to play with as well. Quite rough, but just a proper football man and knew his stuff. And he watched, he would tell me the way, look at the way Celtic line up at corners of it as well. Just watched. It taught me more, just a few sessions with him about football than I'd ever, and I actually used a lot of it later on. Maybe not those leaving nails long and scratching people's face, grabbing people's testicles and things. But Dougie was hard, wasn't he? But he was still built like that. He was still one of the best players there, but just wonderful. So these were great people to learn from, And remember Tommy Coyne coming along as well. Just Joe brought in lots and lots of really good people. And I got on well with Roberts at the time as well, but he was still quite a difficult guy anyway, and that didn't end particularly well. However, they get Celtic in the cup. It's also Roy Keane has just signed for Celtic. So the weekend before, I'm at Celtic Park. We're getting the strip. Keane in the back of it. Keano comes out. We're Keano. Can't believe this. I met a guy quite recently who said, I haven't seen you since Roy Keane. I went, how are you doing? Then obviously didn't fucking talk about the Clyde thing. So anyway, I go back to Clyde, blah, 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 get them in the game, live on Sky Sports. I've got the Keane jersey underneath the Clyde tracksuit on. I'm sitting just behind the bench, like, oh, what the hell is this? And do you know what? I remember Dougie Bell saying, we're going to beat them.
Yeah.
And the way Celtic come out and lined up. I remember when they all arrived, and suddenly it was, and the phone's going, and my wife's on the phone in London. It's Roy Keane. I went, no, I'm standing beside him. I'm walking out and just going, there was something in the air. I just went, Celtic are going to lose today. This is going to be really bad. Pitch was really hard. Celtic looked frozen. They come out, Dewey played. They played like 20 minutes, something that way. And Celtic looked cold. And I looked at Keno, and he just, do you know that kind of, I've got it now, that kind of old man's legs, but kind of, it just looked a bit short. Even in the warm-up, and I went,
would he have handled a Tommy Sheridan warm?
Oh, honestly, Tommy Sheridan
We could have done with a bloody Tommy Sheridan one.
Might have changed the whole team.
They took it too easy.
Absolutely. Oh, but it could have been 6. It could have been 6 in the first
2
half.
goals disallowed.
Yeah, and honestly, it was a murder.
So that week before, when you were at Celtic Park, you were on a scouting mission, right?
Of course, but don't just make it even worse. But my brother's round in there, and then after the game, I go round, and the whole place is going mad. I'm on the pitch, first person. I shake hands with his Keane and all that. It was just mental. My brother's watching the whole time. Raging. Live on Sky Sports still as well. No way out of it. But in fairness, I have a whole Keane strip underneath.
Did you feel like an imposter?
I can. Tommy just went.
I know.
The jury's out, sir.
I know. I apologise.
You took that same deep breath when I said Craig Beattie was the best player.
Exactly. I know. So
lovely guy.
It's all coming together.
Best player.
But it was a fascinating. There was I can't remember which journalist was it wrote a book about being with a professional football team, and it was Spurs he was with. He shadowed in the 60s. It's a cracking book. I can't remember. It's an Irish journalist wrote this book about he went along just as a journalist and trained with a Premier League team for a season. Right. And it's all the ins and outs of it. Stuff obviously you can't print, you can't the stories, and you have nights out with the players, everything as well. I became their spiritual advisor. That was my official role, was spiritual advisor with the boys and looking after my nights out and things. It was fascinating just to be in a professional football club on the cusp of something for a year, regardless of who you support. Because when you'll know from playing from lots of different clubs, you become a fan of that club.
Absolutely.
And I've still got a real affinity with it.
I had the pleasure, Simon, of doing pre-season with St Mirren.
Really?
And I did pre-season with Millwall.
Wow.
And to this day, I've still got wee affinities with both St Mirren and Millwall.
Absolutely.
Because I went and did a pre-season with them. Jimmy Bowen and Ken Woodell were the managers at St Mirren when I did the pre-season. Billy Davies was the manager at Millwall when I did the pre-season. And they had a whole series of stars. Sean Teal, who just recently left Aston Villa. Jed Gredby, Tranmere, he just left. That was the season they beat the Rangers. I was over the moon. John Spencer scored the goal. It was absolutely brilliant. But that was a fantastic,
isn't it? Isn't it just be part of it?
Fantastic.
Seeing you get your training kit with your wee number on it and everything as well, just like, I'm part of this.
And the lunches.
Oh, it's great.
The lunches were brilliant. It's all healthy stuff, Paul.
It was the facilities and everything as well. I just learning from...
Loved it.
Even learning from like Joe, the stuff that Joe Miller would say, or Dougie Bell, or Graham Roberts, the things they would tell players.
Yeah.
Just it's the way that they used to talk about reserve team football, where if you were a young player and you'd come in and you would get someone like John Gregg playing against you going, son, here, come in this close to me. The opposition would talk you through a match, and that's how you learned it was your football thing. For me, it was your football. It was just as an outsider. Yeah, totally.
Education.
Totally. And I'm old and I'm done, but it's still. I wish I'd been good enough as these boys are when I was 14, 15. Because I signed for Clyde Bank when I was 15 because I was tall. I knocked him in it. I got 2 goals when I played the first game. That sort of stuff. But I was never a good player, if you know what I mean. And there was never any. I was at a rugby school, so there was never any football education that way. So we just learned from playing on Blaze pitches. You know, which again I would bring back because you had pitches everywhere. No games were ever off. Now kids play on AstroTurf. It's all too organised. There's not enough football pitches, that kind of thing. So that generation learned from them. Yeah. And we even trained at we played at Dulcetter Park, which I don't think is even there anymore. And the first team played there. So we're in the Ash Parks, and there's a Premier League football team there. That's the difference. You know?
You see the story you just told us there, Simon, of Joe Miller doing a football idol style trial, you know, to bring a team in because they had no players on contract.
Yeah.
And then obviously it goes through that campaign and you draw the biggest team in Scotland.
Live on Sky Sports.
They've signed a player who's known around the world.
Absolutely.
But you beat them. It's like a shot at glory. It's like
It really was like a movie.
cinematic.
It really was like a movie. It's escape to victory for this generation. You know what I mean? So it was just absolutely wonderful. But sorry, Robin, my brother still
Which reminds
calls it
us
Clyde Incident.
of a story
It does.
that you need to tell.
Escape to victory.
Escape to Victory, one of my favourite ever films.
We were talking about the St Rocks game, who was in the dugout. The Celtic management team was Willie Hockey, Brendan Rodgers and John Clark. Don't ask us how we managed to pull that off.
Amazing
team.
But John Clark for me is one of the most humble ex-Celts you'll ever... In fact, I wouldn't even call him an ex-Celt because he's not an
No,
ex-Celt.
he's
You'll ever
real
meet.
Mr. Celtic, you know.
You know, to the point where he says he'll never write a book because he doesn't want to upset anybody.
Really?
But there's a great story, isn't there?
Yeah, there's I think Celtic were training in New York. This was the 80s, it must have been, because it was David Provan, I think, told the story. And John Clark was in the lifts. They were staying in the hotel, and I think that at the same time there was a screening or the premiere of Escape to Victory was on. And Escape to Victory for me is still the best football film ever made. And I think John Huston directed it. So anyway, so all these stars are there, and Pelé is obviously, you know, the main star of the film. Hatch, play Hatch. Remember the overhead kick. So
No, just give me the ball.
Give me the ball. Hatch, I win. So I'll tell you a story about the ball in a minute as well.
Right,
So so they get in the lift, and so I think it's like maybe Roy Aitken or there's a few different players, and Davy Provan with John Clark, and the lift stops, and Pelé gets into the lift, and I was like, champ. And Pelé looks at John Clark and goes, on double take, and goes, "You, Scotland, number 5, Hampden." John Clark goes, "Ah, yeah." Floor goes up, Pelé gets out, lift door closes, lift goes up. Dave Provan them turn around to John Clark, go, "Eh?" John Clark goes, how true it is, I don't know, but I know the incident happened. But just talking, when I had our first wee fashion store, we were down the West End, and a really nice woman came in a few times. She said, "My brother would like this, you do the Escape to Victory tops." And at the time, Toffs, that do the retro jerseys, did this wonderful trackie with a stripe across it. And Escape to Victory, like a sort of mod top. And the football shirt, well, they did the German one, and they did the sort of Allies one. It was a really smart, red, white and blue, but it was really, really smart top. She said, "Can you get that done?" So I did, I got it made. She went, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, my brother, you know, he's got a, my brother's John Wark. And he's lost his top.
John Wark, yeah.
Oh,
He
what?
lost the jersey.
Lost the jersey. They all had stuff, and they said, but they were just on like holiday at Ipswich, and Bobby Robson was pals with someone in the production crew, and they said, we need pro players that will really look the part. And the boys are on holiday. Look, we'll pay them X amount. Just can you get them off? So they ended up with Michael Caine, and they said Pellé's coming. So it was Russell Osman, all these guys, all these wonderful Ipswich players were suddenly in this team with England legends and Pelé. He said, "So John Watt," she went, "Yeah." She went. So I eventually got the picture, and I've got a great picture of John Watt wearing the top and all that, you know. And I got his name in the back of it. But she went, "Yeah, we had the ball."
No way.
Yeah, Pelé, and they would sing the ball, and we just kicked it about till I went to pieces. The streets in Knightswood. Great, innit?
It goes back to what is hidden in people's lives.
Absolutely.
Simon, you mentioned your boutique. Bring us right up to date. Where can we find you now? Zico's.
Yeah, Zico's. So we've just opened a wee concession in Edinburgh, Edinburgh Waverley. So we've got 3. We've got the Glasgow Fort, Dundee Overgate Centre, and now Waverley for a couple of months. Hopefully we'll get a sort of full-time berth there. But it's just wee concessions. So the T-shirts are selling really, really well. So and then of course every single weekend we're at the Barras, Moncur Street.
How good is that though? Because I see pictures on your socials, and
Yeah.
people like Simon Ferry or Brian McClare will come and see you.
Oh, it's magic. There's so many old players. When Joe's been in as well, been loads of players, and Coxey was in, obviously, from a fellow Wembley Wizards. So it's great. It's just nice connecting people, connecting with some of our old customers as well, because we were shut for years.
Yeah.
And it's something me and my wife to do as well. It's a lovely wee business we've got, and it's a nice wee sideline because it's a conversation starter. It's away from being just the actor or whatever as well, or the field footballer. But it's all, we had a whole bunch of Brazilians in at the weekend as well, and they think you're Brazilian, and the massive disappointment when they realise it's all false. But they loved the shop, so it's that kind of thing. So then it's just a conversation starter. And for me, it's kind of against modern football. Zico. It's 1982.
It's Adidas
for
Tangos.
me, yeah, it's Adidas Tango. It's sexy football. It's the shorts to here. It's the Brian McClares. It's that it's the right into footballers. It's shoot and match. It's that wonderful arrested development of when you first fell in love with this game. And that's what it is for me. So it's guys my age will come along and they'll buy a Cruyff t-shirt or Diego Maradona. So I don't have a lot of Celtic and Rangers stuff. I have a lot less Rangers stuff than I do of Celtic stuff. Find it's not as collectible. But I've got like Jimmy Johnson t-shirts and the Kenny Dalglish one and things as well. But it's just because we're so close to Celtic Park, obviously, as well. It's quite hard to sell a blue t-shirt, I've noticed recently. But it's just great. It's great to be part of somewhere that is so famous as well. The Barras is just, it's got a wonderful, even when it's quiet, the traders are hysterical. So they're laughing at us, and the sights you see, it's just like this.
Must be good for characterisation.
Oh, totally, absolutely. I mean, I'm the blandest person there by far. It's just headwinds and it's hysterical. Even as we were leaving there today, because we of course went to the wrong place.
We went to the wrong venue.
So as we waited 2 hours in the burning sun for you to turn, anyway. Again, somebody went past with a very impressive headwind.
I know. Had it just happened?
It just happened.
Welcome to Glasgow.
Welcome to Glasgow. So no, it's I love it. I absolutely love it.
I'm going to make a commitment. I'm going to go and buy one of those t-shirts, and I'm going to wear it and then one of next.
Excellent.
Will you join us again?
I'd love to.
Thanks for joining us, Simon.
Thanks so much. Great. Thank you very much, guys.
Pleasure.
Thank you very
much.
Nice.
Pleasure. Thanks for joining us again on A Celtic State of Mind, and thank you to our special guest, Simon Weir. Tune in next Friday for This Is A Celtic State of Mind.